people in Castle Street were cheering every time a bomb went off.
I thought we were going to be burnt alive.
These memories will always stay in my head. It wasn't a tale that somebody told you, you were there and witnessed it.
The Troubles, a conflict between Protestant loyalists and Catholic nationalists that spanned 3 decades. Longer still was the animosity between the two, starting with the Protestant Reformation, which turned the majority of England, along with their monarchy, Protestant, and saw the majority of Ireland remain Catholic. This prompted both England and Scotland to try and convert Ireland, proving successful in the north, or more specifically, Ulster. After the Irish potato famine in 1845, the Irish demanded home rule, allowing them to govern Ireland while still being a part of the UK. This would be passed in 1912. The Irish Parliament would be created by English Parliament elected officials in the Sinn Féin party. This brought together the IRA to fight for independence. In the aftermath, the Anglo-Irish Treaty would partition Ireland into Southern Catholic and Protestant North. The Protestant North, though, had a significant Catholic minority, which led to several decades of segregation in hiring, education, and housing. In 1969, the Battle of Bogside would occur in Londonderry, which was Catholic, when a Protestant parade went through, the two groups clashing. This would cause widespread violence between Catholics and Protestants in the north, with the eventual aid of British troops. In January of 1972, after numerous confrontations between British military and paramilitary groups, which caused the death of several civilians, people at an anti-internment march attacked British paratroopers. 28 people were shot and 14 killed after the soldiers opened fire. This day was called Bloody Sunday. In response, a series of 22 car bombs occurred around Belfast, killing 9 people, soldiers and police included. This would later lead to the appearance of checkpoints by paramilitaries to look for the IRA, causing mass death and fighting. Operation Mortman would be created and later take these checkpoints in no-go areas with 27,000 soldiers, armored vehicles, and a tank. After a bombing in London in 1973 by the IRA, which killed 1 and injured hundreds, there would be a decline in Anglo-Irish relations. The Sunningdale Agreement would see that Ireland would have an advisory role in Northern Ireland, and Northern Ireland's parliament disbanded and reformed to share power between groups. The agreement, though, would collapse after Ulster's Workers' Council strike in May of 1974, halting industry. 2 more bombings would occur, killing 5 and 21 in Guildford and Birmingham. After this, in the late 1974, the IRA and Britain would negotiate a ceasefire. This ceasefire, much like the Sunningdale Agreement, would collapse in the late 1975 after loyalists egged on the IRA. This would cause several eye-for-an-eye killings and multiple successful guerrilla attacks by the IRA on British forces. After hunger strikes by paramilitary prisoners leading to the death of Bobby Sands and 10 overall. Due to this, the Sinn Féin would enter the Northern Ireland Assembly for the first time. The IRA also saw the deaths of the strikers as Margaret Thatcher's fault, as she was the UK Prime Minister at the time, prompting them to attempt to assassinate her by bombing the Grand Hotel in Brighton in 1984. It was not successful. The IRA had become more than a paramilitary unit, but instead a terrorist organization. The IRA would also lead attacks on soldiers and police barracks. Eventually, the IRA bombed a war memorial in 1987, which killed 12 pensioners and caused massive backlash. This would also ruin the Sinn Féin party for 14 more years. The IRA would continue to implement attacks and assassinations on both Loyalists and British Parliament, but a ceasefire would be called in 1994 to discuss negotiations. Sadly, the IRA would break the ceasefire in February 1996, where they bombed Canary Wharf, killing 2 people. They also attacked again in Manchester Center, detonating 1,600 kilos of explosives, killing no one but causing the evacuation of 75,000 people. In spite of continued riot, a change in majority party in Parliament led to the Good Friday Agreement in 1998, bringing an end to 30 years of fighting that killed a total of over 3,500 people. But even with peace, splinter groups of the IRA remain. While sectarian killings are rare, the animosity between both nationalists and loyalists, Catholics and Protestants, have altogether not left and is still present. Today, the countries are still divided.
But it was anything but. It had begun peacefully enough minutes earlier outside